I'm William Shatner. I've done a lot of things in my career, but this takes the cake. This is so cool. You, Joseph, today, it's all about you. You won the internet. Congratulations. It's exciting. It makes me want to celebrate. Makes me want to get up out of this chair. Makes me want to sing. Makes me want to dance. Makes me want to shout. Kick my heels up. Throw my hands up. Toss my head back. No, really, people should be shouting your name in the street.
Come on now. Sing that name.
Sing that song.
Joseph,
Sing it out loud.
Joseph.
I want to celebrate. Put it up in lights.
The internet belongs to you.
See, no one else deserves to be celebrated like you because you are the best.
Hey, listen up, y'all. I'm gonna shout out this young gun right here because he's trying to do his thing. Joseph Jaffe, not famous. Probably rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm famous because, he not famous. And he like, yo, let me call my famous friends and see if they'll shout me out and make me more famous, sir. Right? But so, Joseph Jaffe, man, it's cool. You got your late night talk show popping off. That's what's dope. Streaming, been doing your thing, man. Started this in March of the 2020, which is, tough throughout the years, but booking great guests, man. Jamal Mashboard, James Rollins, steady building it, man. Keep it popping off, man. Keep building your brand, man. Believe in yourself. Keep going hard, all right? That's what it's all about. One of these days, this little acronym of yours, not famous, is not going to be true. People going to see you in the mall and be like, I know who you is. Them going to be your cousins saying it all incorrect like that. But you know what I'm saying? You know what you going to do. What you going to do? They family. All right, bro. I'll holler.
Am I being overconfident? Am I becoming complacent about complacency?
I think you are.
Oh, he's not the Messiah, he's just a very naughty boy.
Yeah, I've got big ears.
Brian doesn't want to see anyone now. Piss off!
That's the one, because you literally complete me, and we complete each other.
You've obviously encountered discrimination in your own life by virtue of being Australian.
Hey, Manuel Camp was a real pissant who was very rarely stable.
I don't want to get too gushy, but I might just be saying you complete me, Dean. PNG now stands for Pritchard and Good.
Branding is not a bad blind date. Look at you! You are insane!
How did I do that?
You're
How
insane!
did I do that?
You're insane!
Do you notice something different? Maybe it's the receding highline. No one's walking on these tracks. Hairline, maybe, is what I wanted to say. Maybe it's the shine, the sheen. Yes, Brian Piper, I am back. I'm back. I'm back from the abyss. I'm back from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm back from CEX. More on that later. I'm looking fairly grizzled, which is, maybe it's because I am grizzled. Maybe it's because it's NFT winter. It's crypto has become crapto. I don't know. I'm just weathered. I'm Charlton Heston in the 10 Commandments. I went up with a baby face and now I've got this big flowing white beard. What? Where are your shelves? Sounds like a Monty Python. What is your favorite color? Blue, no red. Yeah, I mean, we're in a rental for 3 months. So this is the newly headquartered Joseph Jaffe is not famous. It is not a green screen. You may see the dog walking in and out at various times, still trying to acclimatize and acquaint himself with the new environment. But yeah, so I was able to reset the rig, the Roadcaster, got the sound effects, got some lighting on either side, got the trusty, dusty Roadcaster. It's going to be a great show because Sir Lord King, mildly famous, apparently, I just saw, mildly famous. I mean, mildly famous trumps not famous in a game of Meet the Host. Mr. Joel Comm closing keynote, apparently, rumor has it, at Social Media Marketing World. I wouldn't know because I've never been invited. Apparently, my name and social security number is at the door with the security, so I cannot get in. But I heard he brought down the house, or maybe he didn't. I wouldn't know. I just made that up. I don't know is the answer. And we were discussing the power of I don't know in the green room. But yes, Brian, I met Brian. You'll see a little bit of Brian in a moment. I was at CEX, the Creator Economy Expo. Some people, though, are what I would call conference whores. They jump from pillar to post, like Mr. Brian Fanzo, who was at Social Media Marketing World, and then he went to CEX, and no doubt he's somewhere else now, which is actually he's at home. He's sick. That's what happens when you travel too much in these pesky viral times that we're living in. But it was the first time that I met Fanzo in the flesh. Yes, I am on my knees in order to get the same kind of height parity, if you will. Jeremiah Oyang was there. Mayor Ed and Francine Hardaway, who actually ended up, am I allowed to say that she got COVID either before, during, or after CX? Well, if I'm not, I won't say it. But Francine, hope you're feeling better. Influencer Will, I met one of the giraffes. He has a new coin on Solana. Influencer Will, Mr. Brian Piper, who is watching right now. Brian, there you are. Is this very meta that you see yourself on screen, even though you're watching yourself and commenting on yourself? And it's very narcissistic. Stop being so narcissistic. Joe Polizzi, the host of the show, was there as well. Mr. Mark Schaefer, Ms. Anne Handley. We had a fun time just doing voices of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yes, we were drinking profusely. My new BFFs, Whitney Lauritsen and Lisa Beyer. Yeah, we had a good time. We had an absolute good time. And you know, I learned a couple of things about content and content creation, you know, as a content creator myself. And that is why, yes, it was an incredible event, because it was about the people, right? But here is a seated soliloquy that I actually wrote. Well, I didn't write it because it's just delivered, as you can tell, impromptu and spontaneously. But I call it loose as a goose. I mean, that's generally was my mantra or my motto when I used to go out drinking, or when I was a single man back in the days. I think it was 1870. It was a long time ago. When I'd had a couple of drinks, I was loose like a goose. But I think loose like a goose maybe is a good way to think about content creation as well. You can certainly be over-produced. You can certainly be tight and controlled and read things off a teleprompter, but you can also just be, I guess, spontaneous and just be in the flow and go with the flow. I mean, it's clear to me in the green room with Joel Comm just now that we're not going to struggle to come up with things to say. It may not make any sense, but there is already rapport and chemistry. And I think it's scary for some. It's scary for some not to go in with show notes. By the way, here are my questions that I'll be asking Joel earlier. I wrote them with invisible ink. But I trust the process. I trust the outcome. I trust myself and I trust my guests. And I also trust people watching that they're going to come up with things to say that may steer us in a different direction, or take us off course, or maybe actually take us on course. And so I remember walking to get a coffee, a Starbucks in Phoenix. And I was thinking, because I did my show live, you can go back and watch both of those shows. They really were completely spontaneous. And I was thinking, what would I do for my soliloquy? And it was actually walking to Starbucks that I came up with the idea of loose like a goose, that I actually wouldn't do anything. And that would be, it's very meta this, that would be the soliloquy, which is the ability to just be able to riff, but also know that you will be inspired, know that you will meet someone or have a conversation or bump into someone or hear something that starts to move the cogs, whir the dust off the cobwebs, and give you something to talk about, something that you didn't anticipate, something that you couldn't have foreseen. That to me is a different kind of content creation. It is a different type of being able to be, I guess, in the moment. And yes, today we'll talk about cancel culture, and we'll talk about fun as a lifestyle. What a great idea from Joel. And of course we'll talk about NFTs, or the lack thereof, and other short stories. And so with that said, it is time to get on with the show. Now, for those of you that, speaking of being loose like a goose, it isn't just about quality, it's also about quantity. I am launching the Alpha Collective within the next couple of weeks. You can visit alphacollective.xyz to sign up for email addresses, minting alerts, and win a membership pass worth 1 ETH, which is, what is 1 ETH worth? Well, the answer is a lot less than it was yesterday and the day before and a week before that and a month before that. And I actually think that's flippin' awesome, because I want this to be as affordable as possible. But one of the things that I'm going to be doing is cutting down on the show. So I'll be doing the show 3 times instead of 5 over the next 3 to 4 months, so that I can allow myself to focus on Alpha, but also allow myself to take some of this content and do something with it. You know, one of the things that I'm actually doing is I've launched a whole hold economy associated with the show. And if you are an insider, which means you hold 25 coins, it means that you will get show notes. And what I realized is, I mean, today's show notes, for example, will be posted to the appropriate show notes channel. But these were my notes with Amanda Russell, and I love the idea. I'm curious as to what Joel thinks about it. 29 minutes. Influence is not a job title; it's an outcome, and it's actually something that I heard the other day as well. I think it was either with Ali Straza, or I think it was with Luria Petrucci. I'm almost sure it was with Luria. And Luria said something amazing. She said, you know, back in the day, in our day, when she was doing Geek Brief TV, when I was blogging, they didn't call us influencers. They called us bloggers, vloggers, podcasters. They called us by what we did and by our expertise, not just, oh, look, there is an influencer. What is an influencer? They influence. Be an influencer. It's like seeing a comedian and say, be funny, be funny. And sometimes sad clowns don't like being funny. So just a few thoughts, and just to show you how much richness there is in each conversation, and certainly each conversation. You know what I'm going to say? Enough about that. Let's just get straight into the damn show. Let's get into Joel Comm, because I can see him. He's getting antsy. He's yawning. In fact, he has now officially fallen asleep. So let's tell you about the man, the Lord, the Sir, the King, the mildly famous Joel Comm. Joel Comm is an internet pioneer, successfully building technology businesses since 1995. That's a long time ago. A New York Times bestselling author of 15 books. That's 3x Jaffe, which is why he's mildly famous. Joel is an in-demand speaker and consultant. As co-host of 2 popular cryptocurrency and blockchain podcasts, Joel's shows have been downloaded over 10 million times in over 180 countries, maybe even North Korea. We don't know. He has personally minted over 1.5 million NFTs. What? 1.5 million NFTs of original intellectual property, and enjoys advising Web3 companies specializing in NFTs, play to earn, metaverse, and social tokens. Plus, he is a co-founder of Sylvester Stallone's Sly Guys NFT collection. Wait a second. Will we see Sylvester Stallone making an appearance? Probably not, but you get Joel Comm. Joel, welcome to the show.
What do you mean I'm not going to show up? Yo, Joseph.
Yeah, I met him once walking past the Four Seasons in New York City, and I'm embarrassed to say I looked down on him.
Yeah, well, you're a tall fella.
Yeah, and he is not.
He's not, but he is still very fit. Really nice guy, very humble, very down to earth, and he's got such an inspirational story. And still, at 75 years old, he's working his ass off. He's shooting a television show right now in Oklahoma City. I think this is the first TV series that he's ever done, and it's by the creators of Yellowstone. It's called Tulsa King, and it is it's a gangster, a mob type show. So we'll see how that pans out, but I know he's working hard there.
He's working hard, and some of us are hardly working, as the old adage goes. There will be many dad jokes today, but Joel Comm, you are a sir and a lord, according to Twitter, which basically tells you two things. One is don't believe everything you read, or you never know who you're, flaming with or trolling with on Twitter. It could be a sir or a lord.
Well, first of all,
how did you get those titles?
Yeah, so the Lord is actually Lord because I'm a Scottish landowner. You officially, have the rights to be a lord if you're a male, a lady if you're a female, and I don't know what if you're a Zur, if you're neither. And so I paid my $49.99 to establishedtitles.com, and I've got my square foot of Scottish land. So that makes me a lord. As for sir, I am a duly recognized knight of the nation of Sealand. And so I may be called upon at any moment to defend this small country that is not recognized by the United Nations. But that's Sir Lord is an accurate title for me.
So Sealand is not Sea World, and it's not New Zealand either, right?
No, neither. It is neither. And Shamu has probably never been there either. So Sealand, look it up. Sealand is a real place, and I have the certificate that indicates I am indeed knighted. There was no dubbing me as a knight, like nobody took a scimitar to my shoulders, but I did get the certificate and a document signed by the Prince of Sealand. So, yeah, it's a real thing.
I didn't doubt it for a second. And in honor of the Prince Sir Lord of Sealand, we'll be giving away Jaffe coin right about now. You have about 45 minutes to claim your Jaffe coin using that QR code. And so, it's just in your honor. We've never had actual royalty on the show. So
I'm a royal pain in the ass. I think that's as far as we can get with this.
You know what? Funnily enough, that's been said about me many times, which I guess makes me a royalty. Now, Joel, people want to know. I mean, they've all seen you keynote and everything, the man, the myth, the legend, but really they want to know about fun facts for some reason, or at least one person wants to know about fun facts. For example, how many people know that you've seen Wicked, the musical, 3 times? So much so, I might add, that actually they've even asked you to do curtain calls. So how about
6 times?
6 times.
6 times.
Well, maybe it's like if you see it 5 times, you get 1 curtain call. That would be a good way to get people to go to Broadway, I think.
That's great. That's me without makeup. So that's me in my natural habitat. I mean, it's very green in Scotland, and I am very green, and Alpha and I are very tight. And I'm popular, the song Popular from the musical. It's just such a feel good musical, and I love it. And if you don't like it, well, suck it.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't, hold on. And the show notes, 18 minutes.
Joel
if
says,
you don't
suck it.
Like it, suck it. All right. So the profound insights, as promised, and as
now there's your takeaways. I mean, what else do you want?
Well, I mean, actually, I could parlay, if you don't like it, suck it, into many things. We could be talking about crypto or NFT winter, which is like, hey, listen, if you don't like it, suck it.
Yeah, that too. I'm not phased. I am unfazed at the bear market right now. It's just, I've been here before. It's like Back to the Future. Marty looking at the TV saying, "Hey, I've seen this one before."
Yeah, how does it end, Oracle?
Yeah, well, it goes down for a while, and some people capitulate, and meanwhile, people who understand the power of Bitcoin and blockchain are accumulating, and it goes back up. I mean, here's what we know is going to happen, Joseph Jaffe, not famous, is we know that we are now halfway to the next halving on the Bitcoin blockchain. That means in about 2 years, the Bitcoin difficulty is going to double. means it's going to be harder to mine Bitcoin. It's going to become more scarce because the supply that's being brought into the world is being slowed as we make that very slow ascent to 21 million Bitcoin being released to the world. We'll both be dead and gone by the time that 21 millionth Bitcoin finally is mined. And because of that, it's going to cost more to mine Bitcoin. And before ever we know what happens. Price goes up. Demand, it becomes more scarce. There's only 21 million of these ever. There's 7.5 billion people in the world. 4 to 5 million of the 21 million is lost forever. And then you've got another several million that are in solid, hands, diamond hands. So what? You've got maybe 10, 11, 12 million Bitcoin that 7.5 billion people have to fight for, and institutions are gobbling them up. No, this is going to be a very scarce asset. And there's people that when they saw it go to 69,000, they're like, man, I should have bought some at 40 or 50,000. And now they're looking at me at 31,000 going, should I buy? Like, what? Warren Buffett, not to be confused with Jimmy Buffett, who is wasting his time away in Margaritaville, said,
L'chaim.
Yeah, when others are greedy, be fearful. And when others are fearful, be greedy. Well, we are at almost peak fear. Like we can still see another drop that could take place that will really scare the pants off people. But I just don't look at my portfolio during this time. I'm like, all right, lock it away. Don't capitulate. If you believe in this, just stay where you are. And you know how this story ends. And I believe, not financial advice, that it's going to be a very happy ending for those of us who weather whatever the storms are.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to look forward by actually looking backwards. And you said a very key phrase, which is we know how this ends, or at least what we do is we know the record that's playing, and sometimes it's a broken record. Now, my background comes from the brand marketing world, talking to marketers, talking to executives, and I just see history replaying itself time and time again. It's like we don't want to miss out. I call it brand FOMO now, and they all do it. Some of them dive in headfirst, arrogantly, with hubris, believing that they can do it all, that they can actually engineer it. Those are some of the first brand NFT collections. And then they run away and with their, scampering with their tails between their legs. And then they kind of cower in the corner and wait for everyone else to make the first move. And that's what ends up happening. And they all just wait for somebody else to lead until inevitably they realize they've missed the boat again.
Yep. And I learned my lesson on the last true bear market when we saw Bitcoin go from 20,000 to about 3,500. And I capitulated on some Bitcoin at about 5,000. I was like, I allowed the fear to take over. And of course, regret, tastes like 2-week-old cheese or something. It's not good. And so I learned my lesson. I'm like, you know what? Bitcoin is unstoppable money. And what happens when Bitcoin dropped to where it is? Well, the first nation state to accept Bitcoin, El Salvador, they went in and bought 600. They're all in. They understand that this is the future. And I'll tell you what, El Salvador is probably going to become the richest nation in Central America by far, and probably more powerful than any nation in South America, because they have the vision and the cojones to play a role in this.
They just bought now, right? They just bought in the dip.
Just bought yesterday, yeah.
500, I think.
500 or 600, correct.
Amazing. So it might be true to say, in fact, it would be true to say that this is a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Yeah, definitely. But look, time is compressed, right? In the crypto world, you have to realize Bitcoin's only been around, for what, 12, 13 years now since the white paper? This is still, we're in the early phases of this still, very early. Right? Bitcoin does what it's supposed to do. Years from now, we're going to look back and go, remember when it crashed from 69 to 20,000 or wherever it ends up going down to? Like, wow, we could have scooped up all we wanted at those prices. but people look at the here and now, very much tunnel vision, especially if you're a trader, right? And you're bankrolling everything on the ups and downs of this thing. I am not. I don't follow the charts. I think people are wrong most of the time. You know, they're wrong more than the weathermen are wrong about where the price of Bitcoin is going. And every day you see these articles. Is this the next target? Is this the next? Who cares? Nothing anybody says has any impact on what actually happens with the price of Bitcoin. It doesn't. I find it futile and foolish to spend time reading and charting. Everybody I've talked to that says, "Oh, this is who I listen to," you know, for price indicators, they're all wrong. They're all wrong. I don't listen to any of them.
It's like it's like futurists, or even, you know, sometimes thought leaders, present company excluded, that never ever remind you about all the times they were wrong, but you can be sure as shit basically that every time they called it correctly, they're going to keep reminding you about.
Guilty. I
Me
mean,
too.
I make predictions, and I love talking about when I was wrong. I said Twitter was going to go. So a few years ago, when there was no hope for Twitter, and I saw them, you know, banning everybody, I said Twitter's going to go to $12, and a media company is going to come in and rescue them, like Disney. Okay. Well, guess what? I was wrong about that. Elon Musk to the rescue.
Well, he is a media company. It's just a human media company.
Yeah, no, I meant like one of the big six, you know,
Yeah.
NBC, Viacom, Universal, one of these, and that didn't happen. I did correctly predict that Twitter would eliminate Periscope and fold it into Twitter Live. It only took 4 years after my prediction to make that happen, but it did happen. But I get stuff wrong all the time, and I don't mind it. I love sharing the things that I get right, because, you know, when they do happen, you want to celebrate them.
Yeah.
But that's part of being a futurist, is like, you know, nobody can predict the future. We look at what we know now, and we prognosticate based on where we see the trends. And I like to look at the world from the point of view of the future. I like to look at right now through the lens of tomorrow, because I know what it's like to look at 3 years ago through the lens of today. And so looking 3 years from now at today is just a matter of going, all right, we could see how technology is moving. We could see how adoption is moving. What does it look like in 3 years? And I think we have a general feeling of what's going to happen. And it's really not difficult with crypto and with NFTs and with play to earn and with metaverse. We can see the writing on the wall. This is not rocket science. And barring any catastrophic world events, right? Complete economic collapse, World War III, right? Things like that meta affect all the citizens of the world. Barring that, we can see that there's nothing slowing adoption. It's accelerating. It's picking up. More people are jumping in. What's going to happen? All of a sudden, the brakes are going to, you know, be hit. We're nope, we're turning around. We're going back. We're going back to chisels, you know, to carve, you know, stuff. We're going back to horse and buggies from automobiles. No, it's just not going to happen. We move forward.
I would I would agree. But when we look at inflation now in Ukraine, we have, maybe that's where the fear is coming from. We have what could be a world war, but hopefully won't. We have what could be economic collapse, but probably won't. And I guess all this does is it creates a different kind of, maybe we could call it traditional brand, maybe we could call it brand FUD, right? Because if brand FOMO is about, oh, we hope we don't miss the boat again, you know, we don't want to get fired, and we definitely want to get promoted, but we don't want to get fired, then maybe this is brand FUD, which is making risk averse companies even more risk averse.
That would be like a great SNL commercial. Brand FUD. You know, pick up your brand FUD.
Yeah, well, I think it's more like a spread.
You know, or is it a dessert topping or a floor wax? I don't know.
Exactly. It could be all of the above.
You know, here's the thing: when people are like, well, I'm going to get my money out of crypto. Yeah, throw a little extra FUD on there, please. I'm going to get my money out of crypto back into US dollar.
Would you like a grande or venti or trenti FUD?
Oh, don't get me started on that nonsense. Grande, venti. Come on. Can we just small, medium, and large? They're small, medium, and large. Why do we have to create our own language for something that we already have terms
There's a
for?
great clip which I need to send you, which is Paul Rudd, basically saying, I mean, the punchline is, congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages or 4 languages, because Trenty is 20 and you know, I mean, it basically goes around that pretty much.
Yeah,
None of it means large.
let's face it, we are a messed up, broken, ridiculous species. I mean, all you got to do is look at the state of the world right now, and you still got people running around wearing masks that have been proven to be ineffective against microparticle viruses that go right through the damn thing. And yet they're convinced because somebody on TV told them that this is what they're supposed to do. We live in the idiocracy that the film portrayed. My mind is absolutely boggled at the lemming-like behavior that we are experiencing as a culture right now, led by corrupt politicians and by corrupt media and corrupt pharmaceutical companies. And that's the facts, Jack. You might not like it. You might call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy realist. It's horrible. Human race is one hot mess.
I mean, isn't that, and doesn't that speak to, again, the promise? Rex Briggs, I always use this idea of standing on stage, and he said, "Don't look at the finger, look at where the finger's pointing." And I think that's what it's pointing to, that it's not necessarily decentralization is the answer, or let's take it back from the man, government, the central reserve. It's something kind of like, it doesn't have to be that nefarious or that extreme. I mean, I like the concept of what I call community capitalism that says, wait a second, isn't there like a middle ground somewhere? Because if government is corrupt and media is corrupt and pharmaceuticals are corrupt, and by the way, we as human beings are pretty messed up too. We tend to get damn angry now on planes, trains, and automobiles. So what is the solution? Is there a solution? Help me, mildly famous Joel Comm. Tell me there's light at the end of the tunnel.
There is not a light at the end of the tunnel.
Damn it.
Because the human race is broken. I mean, I believe in original sin. Yeah, I don't know, a sad day. But I guess the light is, look, we have one life to live, and you do the best you can. You take care of yourself, your family,
that's the light.
The people around you, and in spite of circumstances that you can't control, you seek to make good choices, align yourself with good people, good-hearted people, wise people, and bring as much value as you can with the gifts and resources that you've been given. That's the best that we can do. It really is. Unless you feel like you have been designated as the world changer and you are crazy enough to want to run for office, good people don't want to do that, because they're the forces of evil that are out there. They'll JFK you. They'll take you down, and that's what happens when you start messing with the system. So,
right, is that a verb? When did JFK become a verb?
When the CIA took him out because he wanted to disband them. That's when.
I mean, does that bring up Elon Musk's weird tweet the other day, going, if something? By the way.
Not weird at all.
Absolutely brilliant strategically. Quite brilliant, actually.
Yeah, not weird at all. And you're seeing it more and more. People are like, hey, if I'm stirring the water, stirring the pot out here, I just want the world to know that I'm not suicidal. I don't have a death wish. And so if something happens to me, somebody did it because they were trying to silence me. And that's all. He's just letting the world know, hey, gang, I'm good. I'm a happy guy. I've got a good life, and I'm not going to OD. I'm not going to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm not going to jump out of a plane without a parachute. I'm good. Something happens to me, then you better start digging around and ask who did it and why.
So he's saying I'm slightly less Branson-esque. I'm just using another kind of using a name as a. I'm less of a thrill seeker. I'm actually a pretty maybe boring guy, and I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, boring things like colonize Mars. It's boring. Yeah. I mean, you want to impress me? Colonize Saturn, God's sake.
Right? Go jump on one, surf on one of the rings there around Saturn, and then we'll know that.
I mean, finally, someone that actually gets me. I appreciate it. I found this quote. I always try and find a quote for my guests, and what a great time to bring this in. Enjoy life. There's plenty of time to be dead.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, said by Hans Christian Andersen. Who would have thunk?
He was right. He's so correct. It's so short. It's such a short ride. I know, remember as a child, you're like, it's forever to your next birthday or to Christmas. And oh my gosh, I'm never going to get to, drive or be independent. Then you become an adult and all of a sudden it goes whoosh. I just turned 58 last week. I'm looking in the mirror and going,
happy birthday.
What? Well, thank you. What? How?
Look a day over 57, by the way.
I know. I feel 57. So it's really a surprise and a shock to me as well. And it just goes really quickly. And I'm like, all right, so I got another 20 years maybe or so. And that's it. I'm ashes then, put me in the air fryer and call it good. Sprinkle me on top of your favorite dessert. It doesn't matter. So people take a lot way too seriously, which is why, I talk about fun as a lifestyle, working your ass off just so that you can, look, you need to pay your bills. You need to put food on the table and make sure your kids are clothed. But having a lot of money is not going to give you fulfillment and joy. It's just not. I've had a lot. I've lost a lot. I know what it's like to have both. And I can tell you right now that pursuing wealth for the sake of having a lot of stuff is ultimately not going to fulfill. You're still going to carry whatever garbage you have with you, whatever emotional garbage you've accumulated from whatever life experiences you've had. You're still going to carry with you. And if you were joyless and unfulfilled before having a lot of stuff, you're still going to be joyless and unfulfilled. You'll just be able to distract yourself with more things to mute the discontent that's in your soul. And
more complicated, and your life becomes even more complicated.
Yes.
More people want to take a piece out of you, and maybe that's one of the interesting reasons. Even though everyone says docs, that people just want to say, I don't want to, decloak, to use the Star Trek analogy. I want to stay hidden behind my avatar and actually exist in the real world where people don't point and poke and accost me when I walk down the street.
Absolutely. I can't imagine actually being famous.
That's why mildly famous and not famous. That's the luxury we have.
And that's all I want. I don't want to be recognized everywhere I go. I'm not going to do anything in my life that is going to cause that to happen. Anyhow, I wouldn't want to pursue that. I think that has got to be absolutely miserable. I think people who want to be famous just to be famous, they're definitely trying to fill a hole in the soul. It's look at me, recognize me. I'm special. I'm something. Hey, we're all special. We all do special things. We all have unique gifts, and we're all important to somebody. Just because a lot of people know your name or recognize your face doesn't mean you're more valuable. We as a society and as a sick culture elevate people that everybody recognizes, but they're really no more special. They're just human beings. That's why, sitting down with Sylvester Stallone, the dude's humble. He understands where he comes from and what he had to do to accomplish what he's done. And he pours out to his followers on Instagram. He seeks to inspire people because he sees the greatness in everybody. And, that's the story of Rocky, is the story of every man who's able to accomplish great things when they are persistent. And so, we're doing this NFT series with Sly called Sly Guys at planetsly.com. And we're minting these NFTs here in just a few weeks, and people can join the Discord to get Sly listed. It's more than a profile picture project. Sly's goal, along with mine, I wouldn't be working with him if this wasn't a goal, is to add value through physical experiences, digital experiences, real life experiences with him. Anybody who collects 3 Sly Guys and has them in their wallet on the snapshot date to be announced is going to be dropped an NFT, a ticket for a private dinner in Miami, where you're going to get to go to a dinner where Sly is going to attend and speak and inspire the audience. And that's just the beginning of the deliverables that are going to take place with these Sly Guys. And they're just badass looking. They're designed by Clark Mitchell, who is a renowned designer for Disney and Hasbro. And they are him at different phases of his life, and they're inspired by the various film characters that are now beloved, and some things from his personal life.
I love it. It's such a great time to actually be Sly Stallone, or even, Nicolas Cage. I mean, this movie that's just come out, I don't think I've looked forward to seeing. I feel like Sly might be able to make a movie like that, but he wouldn't, because I think his movies are like, I don't think he's as self-deprecating as perhaps Nicolas Cage. But when we look back at the body of work, it's exceptional. It's just exceptional, and for what it represents, like that reminder of what Rocky represents.
Yeah, so much. I mean, how many people now have run up the stairs at the Philadelphia courthouse with their arms triumphantly in the air to, I'm the champion. I have conquered. And so he still inspires people to this day. And he inspires me, 75 years old and waking up at 4:30 to shoot a series and working all the way through the day, was it 6 days a week? Probably. I'm like, all right, I'm tired. I want to go take a nap. Thank you very much.
Well, listen, I'm without putting undue pressure on you, Lord Sir Joel Comm, as soon as this is done, I'm going to get Sly listed. Second of all, I'm going to hit that button that says request collab, and see if I can get Sly to come on the show, because he might actually be my most famous guest if he agrees. No pressure, Joel.
Yeah, well, so I haven't gotten him on mine yet. So
I'm
odds of it, he's shooting a show, but you know what? It never hurts to try.
So I see something has popped up in my background. Should I put it on the screen?
Yeah, go ahead and put it up. This is when I got to meet him in Florida, and we talked about the series, and I got some inside dish on what he thinks of some actors and whatnot. We got to talking about NFTs, and I had to persuade him just a little bit, but one left jab to the jaw did it. He's like, all right, you got me. I'll do the NFTs.
Hold on a second. That's forget about jab, left hook. I mean, that's that's a pretty good blow.
Yeah, he took it like a man too.
By the way, how much will the NFTs sell for?
I think we're still waiting to set the price, because we're watching the market, right now, since things have changed so much. So I would imagine that'll be announced a few days before, pegged to whatever the price of ETH is at the time.
Yeah, Brian Piper says, Yo, Adrian. So that's amazing. And look, there've been celebrities that have done and dropped various NFT collections. Some have not done as well as others, like Shaquille O'Neal, certainly his first drop. And then there've been others that have been more partnerships. I love it. Listen, I'm going to be there in Miami, damn it. I'm going to be there. If I buy 6, do I get 2 tickets?
I think if you put them in 2 different wallets, then you will, because that's what we're going to do. Is we'll be like snapshotting the chain to see, does this wallet have 3? So if you've got them in 2 different wallets, then for sure might be able to work it out where it checks to see if you have multiples of 3s. But yeah, would love to see you there. It's going to be great. And and that's going to happen this year.
So, and there you go, delivering on the roadmap as well.
Yep. And everybody who holds a Sly Guy is going to be able to have access to the Stallone Movie Club. What he's going to do is he's going to pick one of his classic films, and we're going to allow people with the NFT to log into a platform where they can view the film with him, and he will give commentary in real time, and people will be able to ask questions that he'll answer while we're watching the film together. So that's going to be a really fun experience. The only time you've gotten commentary from Sly is like if you bought a DVD that he did commentary on. This is going to be real-time commentary.
So I'm almost thinking that we need to do a bit of a rebrand. I will not take this book away from you, Joel, because one of the geeky little pleasures I have on the show with now 372 guests is come up with the next book title, or it could be a tweet, or it could be an NFT collection, or it could be, a limerick. I don't care for my guests. But this is a clear one for me. First of all, I just want to say I was today years old when I realized that all this use of Nifty and Niftify and everything has the word NFT, the letters NFT. That's where Nifty comes from.
Well, welcome to the present. Yes.
Thank you. I've been living in the past. But here is your book title, Sir Lord Joel Comm, From FUD to Fun. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? You're welcome.
Well, what you do you know the title of my last book?
Was it called From FUD to Fun?
It was really close. It was called The Fun Formula.
And fun, I'm hoping, was an acronym.
No, it actually wasn't. It was talking about real fun as a way of life. In the subtitle is How Curiosity, Risk-Taking, and Serendipity Revolutionize the Way You Work.
I like that. I want to write that down. Give that to me. So we've got serendipity.
Yeah. So it's creativity, risk-taking, and curiosity, risk-taking, and serendipity. Yeah, and it's not a mathematical formula, but it is something that I believe is applicable to just about anybody's life. I look back over at the time, 23 years of doing online business, and I'm not a fan of the hustle and grind. That just is exhausting to me. While there's certainly seasons in life that you got to buckle down, work long hours, and do the work as a lifestyle, it is not sustainable. It's not sustainable for your mental health, for your physical health, for your relational health. It's not good. And the pursuit of money for money's sake is not healthy. If people want to like fast cars and big houses, there's nothing wrong with that. Just saying those things are not an end in and of themselves, right? Becoming better humans, growing, loving others, having experiences is where the real value is, I believe, in life. And I reverse engineered my career. And I noticed that when I was having the most fun, I was having the most success. And when I was working my ass off, at best I had moderate success. More often than not, though, failure, and miserable failure sometimes. And so if it had happened one time, I wouldn't pay attention. If this pursuit of fun and risk-taking and creativity happened twice, I'd go, well, that's interesting, could be a fluke. But it's happened again and again and again and again and again. There is a distinct pattern in my life, and what the world teaches as to how to find success in your business and fulfillment in life, I believe, is wrong and dangerous. And so the fun formula helps to liberate people and demonstrates how this actually can work in your life, that you can be successful in business and have a more fulfilled life, more fulfilled relationships, and have more fun.
I always talk about my first boss. His acronym, or not acronym, his motto was "Have fun, make money," and then I kind of hacked it a little bit, and I wrote this into one of my books, which was "Have fun, do good, make money." And I think it's a formula that seems to make sense, where making money is not the be all and end all. It seems to almost be a natural, inevitable outcome, but it's not. The have fun part is, I had to just put this on because I really believe it. I believe that if you love what you do, everything will follow. And the thing that people like totally mess up on is everything that will follow does not have to mean money.
Right. I mean, this could be have fun, do good, make money, get checks, right?
Hang on a second.
You're going to add to that. There we go. I mean, let's face it.
The studio audience is loving that statement.
They like
let me tell you.
There you go. Yeah.
Have fun. You see, you just took something that was so beautiful, so pure, so
absolutely, and I made it hotter. Yeah.
I was going to say, and you made it dirtier and hotter at the same time.
I was just talking about
sexy. You made it sexy.
No, what I meant is when you have the money, you can go buy all the marshmallow peeps that you want, so that you get the checks.
Yeah, or these days, a couple of very poorly pixelated owls.
Yeah.
And
yeah, what's the floor on those right now? I think they're like 20 ETH. I kept, people are telling me at 40, you should get in. You should get in on this. This is their community. They're going to be, and then the whole I'm like, I'm watching. I'm still watching. I'm still not convinced that Moonbirds are a buy, even at now they're back to 26 ETH. So at 20 ETH, they would have been a buy. You could have flipped them right now for 6 quick ETH and made a few bucks.
By the way, I'm fairly confident that there will be a bunch of predominantly middle-aged males running around Times Square soon enough, basically trying to offer up their owls, their badly pixelated owls, in exchange for chicks. And I'm fairly certain that their success rate is going to be very poor.
Well, look, we understand that NFTs are so much more than the pixels. It's not about the art. It's about the community. It's the NFTs are simply a key that unlocks the magical box, and that magical box is contains whatever the creators want to put into it. And so that's the thing I love the most about NFTs is our imagination and creativity can take us wherever we want to go with them. You can drop physical goods to people, you can drop digital goods, whitelist them for other collections, you can unlock real life experiences, you can unlock communities. The number of things that can be unlocked are infinite. It's all within our imagination. So I'm confident that the Moonbirds team has some, really big plans, and we might look at them, here at 120 ETH one day and go, okay, that was a really damn good buy at 40. But it's a lot of money to drop on them. And I like to look for the projects when they're new, right? I would rather mint something for 0.1 ETH, 5 of them, and 5 of these and 5 of those. And if one of those projects follows through successfully on their roadmap, that's diversifying your risk rather than going, all right, I'm putting all my eggs in this one Moonbird. So that's my approach to it.
I absolutely loved that quote, by the way. It actually also just alliteratively and just even in from an audio standpoint, an NFT is a key that unlocks a magical box. I mean, it's beautiful. It really is. And I'm not just saying that. Actually, I am just saying that.
You just said it. I heard you just say it. So don't
Exactly.
lie to me. Joseph Jaffe, not famous. I know what you're saying.
I wouldn't. Well, you know what? We're going to take not a small break. We're going to go into an interesting, not even an interesting. I'm just trying to think of a segue, not a segue. But Tom Morris normally is our resident philosopher on Thursdays, and he's now moving to Tuesdays. He just doesn't know it yet. And he came up with his vignette today called Reading and Thinking. And then I'm going to do my very damn best to make a nice little bridge into this delightful conversation. Tom, take it away.
Hi, I'm Tom Morris with some unsolicited philosophical advice. If you want to think things you've never thought before and do things you've never done before, it's a good idea to read some things you've never read before. Maybe your reading gets into a rut. Mine sure does. You read just leadership books or just business books or just marketing things or just about tech. Well, maybe it's time to make a change. Dive into something different, read some poetry, or maybe read some great fiction of the past. I'm on a Somerset Maugham kick right now, reading his short novels of the 1930s, and they're giving me some new things to think about. C.S. Lewis once said, if a book is not worth reading twice, it wasn't worth reading once. I think that's pretty profound. If you come across something that you haven't read before, like maybe Plato's Republic, like maybe Gilgamesh or Beowulf or the Iliad or the Odyssey, and they spark new thoughts, well, read that book again and read it a second time. There's some books I've read a dozen times, maybe one I've read 24 times. And each time through, there are new insights that come my way. But whatever you do, try not to get into a rut of just the same genre of book all the time, or you'll be soon in a rut of just the same genre of thinking all the time. From a philosopher's point of view, creativity is sparked by exposure to new things. Reading that's off the beaten path can help you to create your own path in pretty remarkable ways. I hope I've given you something to think about and something that will keep you in some happy reading and happy philosophizing in days to come. See you later.
Bye, Tom. Bye. You get. I don't like to read anymore. I used to read all the time.
I told you there'd be a segue. I think the segue would be, if you don't want to read, then how about listening?
Yeah.
And you can listen to the Nifty Show, the world's first.
So we have to change that because we were challenged. We found out there is a podcast called the Non-Fun Gerbils that had an NFT show before we did. However,
non-fun or non-fungible?
Non-fun gerbil.
Okay.
GERBIL, non-fun gerbils.
Yeah, Richard Gere is the host, I heard.
So what we did realize, though, is we are the best NFT podcast according to our mothers. And so we're going to go with that. We were also the first podcasters to talk about NFTs on a podcast, on the Bad Crypto podcast back in 2017. So Nifty Show is a spinoff. Technically, it isn't the first, but let me look at us. We're definitely the most handsome NFT podcasters.
Well, I mean, not
on this page.
Not after putting this page on, but you can also subscribe to the Bad Crypto podcast.com. What else can you do? Well, of course, I mean, who isn't going to go and find out about how to get Sly listed? And I'm going to be doing that as soon as the show wraps up. Visit planetsly.com. Follow Joel and his profound, pithy, smart, and fun tweets. And also you can follow him on Instagram. And I think, Joel, believe it or not, you're the first guest in 372 that gave me a telegram or sent me a telegram. So there you go. Before we head out, and I know you have your next interview coming up. I'm actually going to be doing remember Clubhouse, a room called kind of Crypto Winter. Remember,
is that still a thing? I
don't know. Well, we'll find out tomorrow. Actually,
I think Spaces is where it's at now.
I'll do Spaces too, but it was about this idea of like, remember this moment, and the one thing that I just wanted to leave everyone with, and you with today, is I think what's happened is everyone said about this whole space, it's about the money. It's just about the money. Don't lie. Don't kid yourself. It's just about the money. But now with what's happened, people taking it off their phones, people not checking in 58 times every hour, I think for the first time it's forced us to realize that it isn't about the money. And if we focus on the money, it's just going to make us pretty sad and depressed. So why not just have fun?
Yeah, I hope people are realizing that. For me, it's like, hey, it goes up, goes down. I mean, we can all go, hey, if I would have sold in November, I would have had X amount of money. But here's what I ask myself. I'm like, all right, so let's say you had that X amount of money in your wallet and you had sold then. What would have happened between then and now? Well, you'd be looking for your buy-in place again. Is now do I buy? Now do I buy? You'd be watching for, when do I buy? When do I get back in? And then I ask myself, okay, how would my life, my day-to-day life, actually be different? What does another $1 million, for example, just throw a number out there, what does another $1 million mean to your life if you already have your needs met, right? What are you going to do? You're going to go buy a big house, a boat? You're going to go do a new wardrobe? I mean, what is it you're going to do that you need? Odds are most people who are playing around in the crypto space, the NFT space, have their needs met, and the actual changes to their life would be immaterial changes. And I mean immaterial in terms of insignificant. The really more money, more problems. The two reasons I could think of to be wealthy at this point, if you do aspire to be wealthy, is one, you can give a lot to charitable means. You could help a lot of other people. Okay. Number two is you can fly private. Really, those are the only two reasons I could think of to be wealthy. I'm not joking. That is legitimate, because nobody likes public transportation, dealing with the BS of the TSA. You know, I mean, this is who else wants to get groped by people that couldn't get a job at the post office? I mean, it's just pass. Thank you. I'd rather fly.
I think that's a bit of a mic drop moment in the show. Help people and fly private. And I can tell you someone, I don't know if he helps people, but I do know that he flies private. It's Chuck Norris. And this is what Chuck Norris had to say about Sir Lord Joel Comm.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
And we will be back tomorrow. Joel, come back anytime. I must say, it was everything that I hoped for and less, and still I had fun.
I was just a little disappointed. Yeah.
Well,
Thanks.
mildly. Take care, everyone. See
Thanks,
you tomorrow.
Joseph.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.